Welcome to Tech Topics brought to you by Cybervenger. We help keep small businesses stay protected and compliant with cutting-edge cybersecurity and IT solutions.
Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Andy. I'm the managing consultant for Cybervenger. Today we're doing another deep dive into the 110 controls of the NIST 800-171. Today's control is 3.5.4. Let's take a look down here and see what it is. 3.5.4 says you need to employ replay-resistant authentication mechanisms for network access to privileged and non-privileged accounts. So basically what this means is we need to set up systems that are resistant to a common classification of attack known as a replay attack. Now when I say systems, we mean anything. It might mean your Active Directory, it might mean an application on your network, it might mean a firewall, anything. Any device that you have. So it's kind of a generic attack. I'll give you an overview of how it works. If you can sniff the traffic on the network, which you could in the old days when there were hubs and everything was broadcast out in the open, or in the modern time, there's a lot of methods by which you can sniff traffic going back and forth, kind of a man-in-the-middle type of scenario. If you sniff that traffic and somebody logs on and they get back a token that allows them to access things during the logon process, someone could take that token and replay that set of packets, not even knowing what they are, and being able to use it to connect to things and grab files momentarily or send data to an application or something like that. It's kind of a mimicry. It's a little bit like if you think about if you walk into a restaurant, a quick service restaurant, someone places their order and says, "Hey, a coffee for Bob," and then you walk up. 5 minutes later, "Hey, I'm Bob. Oh, there's my coffee. Thanks." And you walk out the door. Right? You didn't rob the place exactly. You replayed. You pretended to be Bob by listening to the name that they said and just mimicking it before they get a chance to respond. Similar concept. It's an analogy. Now, I don't want to get too much detail as to how you prevent this. Just want to talk about what it is and why it's important. Some of the controls we've already went over in the most recent videos talk about multifactor authentication for all users. Multifactor authentication helps mitigate this because even if you have the password and username, like this password hash, they call it, because what they do, instead of sending a password and a username in clear text, how you normally log on is you would take the username and the password, combine the two, and just stick the two strings together, and generate what's called a hash. Now, a hash is a unique string, a long string, that will change dramatically if you change even a tiny bit of the source data. And the idea is that you could take the username and password, you create a hash, and then if the hash is stored in your Active Directory, for example, you compare the two and see if they match to know if you have the right username and password. That way, you don't actually have to store the password and username in clear text anywhere or send over the wire in clear text. So replay would be able to perhaps sniff that hash and reuse it. There's ways to prevent that, but they're kind of automatic. But replay attacks help mimic that sort of thing to do that kind of exploit. They pretend to be you. Web sessions are a big one. If you get a session ID when you're logged into a website, so you log into LinkedIn, and someone can steal your cookies and get the session ID, they were able to replay. They were able to see the traffic going back and forth, and they were able to replay the transaction. They can mimic you momentarily or for long periods of time, or maybe they see your login process and they can throw a packet in there that interrupts it and says, oh wait, I meant this password, and like maybe you can do a fresh token with them. There's a lot of things you can do, a lot of opportunities there. It's not specific, but there are mechanisms you can do to help prevent this. To give you something concrete, we'll talk about Active Directory because most places have Active Directory. Older versions of Active Directory were authenticating it using something called NTLM and SMB signing packets for server message block packets to be able to transfer files and stuff. All those early versions were vulnerable to replay attacks. In order to be compliant with this standard, you need to be running a later version of Active Directory, which, at this point, 2012 is about to be expired. So you could be running 2016 anyway. 2016 on up supports Kerberos authentication. Kerberos has defenses against replay attacks. I wouldn't say immune, but I think it qualifies for 3.5.4. But the problem there is by default, the older authentication mechanisms are still enabled. They're just not on by default. So if you had a client, if you could somehow trick a client into requesting NTLM to authenticate against, it would request it would support that. And then that replay vulnerable transaction would take place, and you could sniff it and then execute the attack. Now, of course, there's a lot of how you can make that happen, a lot of hoops you got to jump through. So it's not an easy attack, but that's not the point of it being easy. We want to make it impossible, right? So that's what the standard's talking about. That's what a replay is. Hopefully that answers the questions. I may do a video later on in some more technical detail about what Kerberos is, how it works, how you can improve it. Things like session timeouts, you want to minimize those. Session timeout, so if you do replay the attack and the session times out and you go to use that packet and it's dead, then it won't work. That's a defense. Encryption, of course, always helps, right? If you want to do point-to-point IPsec encryption between nodes, you can set that up. It's a whole nother video to go into. But that's what they say. You have to do some kind of tool to protect against this kind of thing for all the systems that you have. And if you have any systems where that's vulnerable, you got to come with some kind of compensating control. That's all this is talking about. So that's all I got for this control. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for watching. We hope this video has provided valuable information to you. Be sure to share this video with other small business owners to spread the word about the importance of cybersecurity. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. If you want more information about cybersecurity, visit us at www.cybervenger.com.